intense waves or icy conditions they so often had to contend with. It was, they all agreed, the perfect day for a rescue. So where was he? The operation, being coordinated by the Humber Coast Guard, had grown steadily in scale throughout the day. 3 aircraft had been called in to assist. A bright yellow Royal Air Force Sea King search and rescue helicopter, a small fixed-wing Cleveland police spotter plane, and an RAF Nimrod reconnaissance aircraft. Even a Royal Navy warship, HMS Explorer, which happened to be in the area on exercise, had joined the search, all surely adding, rescuers felt, to the chances of success. Dozens of RNLI and Coast Guard shore teams were combing the coastline for debris, or worse. Nothing was being left to chance. Shortly after lunch, at 1:15 p.m., there was finally a breakthrough when a double-ended paddle, typically used by canoeists, was retrieved from the sea near North Gare, just a mile or 2 along the coast from Seaton Carew, the little seaside town from where the missing man was seen paddling off the previous day. But if, as feared, it was his, it could mean he'd been left at the mercy of the sea and the notoriously strong tidal currents that could quickly have dragged him out towards the shipping lanes. It didn't look good. As the hour approached 6 p.m., the men who had worked in shifts throughout the day and the previous night were weary through lack of sleep. But it was the worry that somehow someone had missed something, maybe the tiniest of clues, that bothered them most. Back at Redcar HQ, wives and girlfriends had been to the local Asda supermarket to stock up on pies and sandwiches, for it wasn't just the boats that needed refueling. They brewed piping hot tea and coffee for the men who'd put their day jobs on hold to join the search. Some of the more experienced hands had niggling doubts about their mission, wondering if perhaps there was a little more to this disappearance than met the eye. There hadn't been a single sighting of either the missing man or wreckage from his canoe, and they were baffled. The nagging doubts continued, but each and every man was well aware of the RNLI ethic that call-outs are never criticised, no matter how suspicious they may appear, for fear of dissuading future callers. Their job was to save lives, and, acutely aware the missing man was a local, said to be about 50 years old, with a wife and probably a family at home, worrying themselves sick and hoping against hope for the miracle they too were praying for, they tried to push such thoughts to the back of their minds. The boatmen had all been involved in rescue operations before, and some recalled previous occasions when, just as they had all but given up hope, their luck had suddenly changed, and they had plucked a fortunate soul to safety from the unforgiving sea. But as the night began to draw in along the Cleveland coastline, most were beginning to fear in their hearts that it was not destined to be one of those days. Folk taking a late afternoon stroll along the promenade in Seaton Carew stopped to lean against the blue-painted iron balustrades and gaze out to the cold and grey North Sea. In the distance, and through the haze thrown skywards by the surf's spray, rising up and merging into the smoke billowing out of the giant oil refineries and nuclear power station at the mouth of the River Tees, they could just about make out the outlines of some of the rescue boats involved in a search that was making headlines in newspapers and on local television and radio stations. The talk of the town in the pubs and hotels, fish and chip shops, and seafront stores selling candy floss and brightly coloured sticks of rock was of nothing else. "Any news on that bloke who went out in his canoe?" countless customers asked the shopkeepers. "No, nothing. It's not looking good," they were each told, as the sound of the rescue aircraft lingered in the distance. Looking out from the drawing-room window of her Victorian seafront home, watching the flashing lights from the massive search operation underway, Anne Darwin was a nervous wreck. She knew very well the brave men and women risking their lives looking for her missing husband were not going to find him that night, the next, or any time soon. She thought to herself.